Okay, now I can hear me.
Hear you now?
Do whatever you did. All right, I can hear me.
You good?
And check. Yeah, I'm good. I think I sound all right. Sound like me.
Let's go, Neko White. What's
my
up,
God.
buddy? Dude, yeah, we're live. We just get right into it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. With
What's
me.
good, man?
Same old
Neko
same.
White. We see you all over the place, man. I see you every night. You're at a different spot. And I just listened to your special about a couple hours ago before you came on here. Dark Out. If you guys have not listened to the special, you need to. Just basically an experience of an entertainer, a black 20-something-year-old, I don't know how old you are, and just experiencing 2020 with Corona and with George Floyd, and just like your thoughts, man. So while it was a special, it also had like a dynamic to it where it was like storytelling.
Yeah.
You know? So kind of talk about the special and what you've been up to these days, because I know that you have the Netflix is a Joke special coming out June 13th?
13th, baby.
Okay,
June
beautiful,
13th.
man. So talk about it. What's good?
All right, man. So we'll start with Dark Out. So what Dark Out was a project that I put together kind of on the fly, right? So 2020 came in and it blindside ain't even the word, you know what I'm saying? Like that shit was a whole lot, right? So I'm a full-time comedian. I have been since the time I started.
Yeah, when you
right?
were 14.
Yeah. And this is how this is my everything. I facilitate life off of this, right? And that's always been the case. And it's one of those things that, like, for me, I feel like people don't really understand that or really know. It's not something that I talk about a lot. But, like, when it happened, there was things coming along that I was really looking forward to. For example, that Netflix thing was supposed to happen in 2020.
Like 2 years
right?
delayed.
And it was supposed to happen on like the 24th or something like that of April in 2020. And then like we get 21 days away from that joint and, you know, the world stops. And there was no way for me in that moment to not feel like that was personal, right? Like even though it was happening to everybody, it felt particular for me. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, how? You know what I'm saying? How?
Well, do you feel like it was particular for you just because you had been grinding for so long and like this was the moment?
Nah,
like
I'm on a thing now where it's like words matter a lot, and grinding's the wrong word to use for me, right? Because grinding means you're losing something. You know what I'm saying? I love what I do, like really deeply love what I do. So I wasn't losing anything working. You know what I'm saying? I've been working the whole time. Grinding would assume like you beating your head against the wall and you losing something. No year that I've ever had has been like the year before, and that's including 2020, right? So I say that to say, after the lockdowns came in, right, I had an hour material that I had recorded that I was going to release in conjunction with the Netflix special originally, right? That was called Marcellus, right? And I put that out on my birthday that year. So Marcellus came out May 8th, and then George Floyd and all that happened, right? Now, what Marcellus was, that was the album that I recorded in October of 2019, right? And that's my live show, right, of my material that I was doing at that time. And then that happened and I felt suffocated, if that makes sense, right? So I'm a live performer, right? And live shows were illegal, you know what I'm saying? And that's across the country. It wasn't just in New York City. Live shows weren't a thing that you could really do. So, you know, you pull in the news and all that shit and you kind of get everybody's feeling and all that. And it just felt sad. You know what I'm saying? Like the eeriness in the streets. Because, you know, I'm here in New York. I was there for the protests and all that stuff. So I got to sit with my own emotions for a while and my thoughts were really jumbled. And I had, one of my friends, he had recommended this Lil Wayne documentary, right? And like we sitting here now, Wayne will carry like a studio with him. And
yeah, like in hotel rooms and stuff.
Yeah, so he was there was one part where he was recording like Swagger Like Us and all that. And I had seen that video before, you know what I'm saying, coming up. And Wayne's one of my favorite artists, if not my favorite rapper, right? And I was watching the Band from TV video, and he just standing there, he going over his shit, right? And I was like, why can't I do that with jokes? You know what I mean? Why can't I do that with jokes? And I felt like something like that would match my style. So I'd reached out. I thought it was a crazy idea, and I reached out to a friend of mine because I wanted to do this, you know, with no audience.
Yeah, like spoken
like
word,
that.
like how you did it.
Yeah, and that, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I wasn't even thinking spoken word. I was thinking more jazz. You know what I mean? I was thinking more like, because I truly believe good stand-up has the same, like give people the same facial reactions and all that and feeling as good music, right? So if I hear a good bar, I go, whew, fire, right? Run that bitch back.
Yeah.
That's the feeling I want you to get. If I'm going to, like, if I'm doing something emotional, I want you to be able to feel what I'm talking about. Like, not just hear me. I want you to be able to tell, like, no, I mean what I'm saying. Or I lived what I'm telling you I lived, right? So now I reached out to a friend of mine who's a comic that also, like, he produces stuff, right? And I told him the bare basics of the idea. The nigga said, I don't get it. And I was like, perfect, right? So when he said he didn't get it, I reached out to Mike Lavin, as you all might know him, the homeless pimp, right? I reached out to homeless pimp. He's somebody that I've known for a long time. I'm a fan of his work. He's a fan of mine. And I was like, yo, I got an idea. Oh, wait, no, I'm lying. There's one more person that I reached out to. But they left me on scene. You know what I'm saying? Shout outs to you, chump. But I reached out to homeless pimp, and I told him the idea. And right away, he was like, bro, I love it, right? So then I was trying to figure out a venue where I could do it at because, you know, the comedy clubs and all that were shut down. So now the owners of New York Comedy Club, you know what I'm saying, we have a really good relationship. And I reached out. I was like, hey, you guys have a studio out in Long Island. You know, can I use that room? And Scott was like, fuck yeah. Yeah, let's do it, right? So now that day, and Dark Out, I'm not going to lie to you, is my favorite thing that I've done of all my specials. I love it. Not more, but it's up there for me. Like, I really feel like I did something different, and I really feel
Bro,
like,
it was different. I mean, people talk about like the Jerry Carmichael special just being like a different kind of viewpoint.
Go watch Dark Out.
And dude, I think you did it before. You did it December of 2020, and it kind of like, it was like a recap of 2020.
I did. It was more than that, bro. Like, that shit, I'm a bleeding heart, right? I wear my heart on my sleeve. I cut that shit open on Dark Out. You know what I'm saying? I really let it bleed. And like, if you watch my stand up, like early on, people, like, one of the things I would get is like, oh, well, you know, you're not that personal, right? That's what people would say. And I'm like, I don't know if you know how to listen to me to see my personal. Very personal.
Yeah, man.
If you listen to me right, you'll learn a lot about me.
I mean, that Dark Out especially. I mean, growing up in the projects, living there for, at the time, 27 years. 2020, you were like, shit, man, what do I do at this particular time? And that's why you probably felt it was like personal, no?
You know, it wasn't as much that. The thing about it was like, I work hard, right?
Yeah.
And I work really hard. And I'm one of the ones that's like, I'm a lot more of an everyman than people think, right? Like, there's no agent on my side. There's no manager on my side. There's no industry help on this side. But throughout all that, from the time I started to right now, been able to hold a pretty good position in the scene that I'm in, been able to work, been able to headline, all that stuff. So it's like, everything has made sense thus far, right? What Dark Out was, it was my response to everything that was going on at the time around me, everything that I was going through personally, and then just like some reflection, opening the book a little bit to let people read the pages of shit that I don't usually share, you know? So, and when it comes to the story of the family, it was more like, wasn't that mom ain't have a job, is that mom's dropped everything to take care of her mother. You know what I'm saying? She was working a very good job, you know what I mean? But again, she dropped everything to take care of her mother. And then my grandma passed. Hey, I'm the man in the house. But yeah, so with Dark Out, when we got there to the studio, right? I can't lie to you, I didn't have a plan on how I was going to do the material or anything like that. I couldn't for the life of me get a set together as far as like, okay, I'm going to do this in this order. That I couldn't get that together to save my life, right? And unlike other shows, other times where I've taped something, this isn't something that I got to work out 500 times, right? This is something that I probably worked out. The jokes that were in there, they were all probably like 7 months, because we shot this on my comedy anniversary. We shot that September 14th of 2020.
And the personal thoughts were already in your head, though? That's like kind of what you were already thinking?
Well, that's life, you know what I'm saying? It don't take much for me to do that part. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I can tell you those stories as we sit here. And so, again, this Dark Out's my coolest story, I think. So we get there, and homie shows up. We waiting on his guy. It's homeless pimp, and it's New York video guy, right? So we waiting on him to show up. And for the first two, I decided to go and do it the regular way with like a regular stick mic, you know what I'm saying, and wire. So these two never released, but the first time we did a take, I said, all right, y'all set up the cameras and I'm just go. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go till I'm done and then we'll do it again, right? And then what we were going to do was we were going to use the like Frank Sinatra style microphone, and we were just going to record with a backdrop to I was going to do all like the deeper shit, like the stuff that I thought about, the protests and all that stuff. I thought about my own situation, like bank account versus opportunities and all that. So those are going to be like interstitials cut in through the regular stand up and whatnot. Kind of like if you ever seen Kill the Messenger, like on Rock was in different places.
Yeah.
When I got the more deeper shit, darker shit,
You put it up.
we would go to the the microphone like this. That was the plan, right? That's what I thought. So now we do the first take, and I just tell them, I said, all right, I'm gonna go till I'm done, and we rap. I say I'm done, and again, it's just me and those two, video guy, Homeless, and Emilio and Scott over in the sound room, right? And I asked homie how much time I did. He says like an hour and change. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. There's no way. He's like, no way. Yeah, that's what you did. Okay. I was like, okay, cool. I lost my sound real quick. I was like, okay, cool. And so now I go upstairs, put my headphones back on, bop around a little while. And I come out. We do it again. I do a different set, right? This time we go another hour and change, right? So now we go, all right, whatever that's going to be, we got that. Now let's set up the mic and the backdrop and all that. And it's like, you set that up, come over, I see the shots, and I like it a lot, right? So I go back upstairs, bop around a little bit more, listen to some more music. I can't get this shit down, right? Like in the order that I want to do. But still, I'm feeling good. I figure, fuck it, we're going to let it rip. And now, for the third one, we go in and we go for it. The last take we did was an hour and I want to say like an hour 20 something, right? Now, that's 3 different times during that night, right? And that one felt so good that I was like, fuck the other two. We're just going to go with this, right? And I really think we came out with a project that I'm really proud of, that I couldn't get any press for, but every person that saw it felt about it the way I felt about it. So I appreciate that. If you haven't watched Dark Out,
check it out, man.
watch Dark Out.
Check it out. There's so many different perspectives in that, like it's not just you wanting to do comedy and getting antsy. It's just all about your personal life too, and how your family was involved, and also just keeping the career on a trajectory, and having a big moment like Netflix is a joke like you have, and having to wait 2 years. I can only imagine how anxious you were just to get it done. So how did it go before we get a sneak peek on the 13th?
What we talking, Netflix thing?
Netflix, yeah.
A lot of that one felt great because it was a lot of like crazy full circles that happened back to back to back, right? Just from the date itself, April 29th, 14 years to the day of the first open mic ever signed.
Oh, nice.
Right?
Dope.
So happy coincidence, right? Then being able to do it with the people that we got to do it with, that was dope. You know what I'm saying? Because we all are from the same class. We all started around each other. You know what I'm saying? I met Pete and I met Jordan and Matt. Matt did the warm up on the joint. We all met during like Little Rascals Comedy. It's a comedy group. You know what I mean? So to go from that to do what we've all done, in general, to go to this, excellent. You know what I'm saying? Like tear-jerkingly excellent. I'll tell that story like for real on the Potterhood podcast, which y'all should check out.
You mean like the just the full circle moment, how everything came back together?
Yeah, 100%. Not even just came back together, but again, the people. You know what I'm saying? Like we all, the comics that were on that thing, I'm talking about, I've known since I was at least 17 years old, right? So I'm 29 now. You know what I mean? So that long, like from the class people that motherfuckers that like weren't good or that they didn't see. You know what I'm saying?
I had a chance to talk to Giulio Gallerati about it, like
the man,
right after, or I guess it was canceled. Like he was looking forward to it too, and then it was kind of just like up in the air. Maybe it'll come back in August, and then maybe it'll come back a few months after that. Yeah. So did you kind of keep everything together for that 15-minute set, like 2 years prior? Were the jokes kind of the same, or you mix it up a little bit?
Nah, I added a bunch of things. So again, you don't know what it's going to look like until you see it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to say what's
going to be. Yeah, don't spoil it too much.
Fuck around, look at it, and it's edited. But if you see me live as of late, you've seen that set. You know what I'm saying? Like if you see me within the last 6 months, you've seen that set. And I'm proud of it. You know what I'm saying? I'll let the people see it. Hope y'all like it. And if you enjoy it, come see me live. That's my whole thing.
Love that.
Come see me live because I swear I got more and even more than that. You ain't seen shit yet from me yet.
And you're at New York Comedy Club a good amount, like during the week.
I'm
right?
everywhere.
You're everywhere. That's freaking true.
I'm everywhere. You know, and I only have to like emphasize on that sometimes because people like to staple one spot to me. It's like, no, you're gonna stop playing with me.
Yeah, see him everywhere.
Yeah, but yeah, would like the like it because I've been off the road like the way I like to be on the road. I've been off of it for like maybe a year. You know what I'm saying? I've done.
Well, how do you mean by that?
Like I like to do if there's a year's worth of free time to be on the road, I like to do at least like 20. You know what I'm saying? So because of the pandemic and afterwards, I've been off the road like extensively, like I would like to be. So we'll see what happens. I like to do the road again to schedule that
You think comedy has changed for the better since pre-pandemic to now?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, do you think that maybe more people are appreciating it, coming out more to live shows and not sticking to their couch and watching the Netflix, the Hulus? People are out more. Do you notice?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that. I'll say.
Well, I think you are, man. You work every night.
Fair. I say. I don't think it's so easily answered, right? Like, I don't necessarily know that it's giving people more interest in stand-up. I'm not saying it's taking away interest, but I'm just saying that I wonder if they understand how our thing is supposed to be presented. You know what I'm saying? Or how it's supposed to be appreciated sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, we practice humor. So there's a certain level of, you're not supposed to give so much of a fuck about what we're saying because of our position, right? Stand-up comedians or on stage, we're supposed to be able to make fun, right? But you have to do that. You have to make it fun. You have to. And like, I don't know, there's this weird like thing with the feedback also where it's like, you can see with the audience sometimes, like after the Oscars and all that stuff, you can see some people are like defending a comedian getting like accosted for jokes that they tell. And then by that same token, you can meet comedians that think that like, they'll tell audiences that they're bad audiences like to their face because the audience don't like them. And it's like, I don't believe in that, right? The audience is allowed to have feedback, right? That feedback being, you tell your joke, they laugh, they don't laugh, they give you a response. That response can and sometimes might be a boo. You might get booed, you might even get heckled a little bit, but that's fine. You shouldn't try to eliminate that all the way. You know what I'm saying? That's supposed to be present because that's their, as a paying customer, that's their right. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to keep heckling or keep booing. Mm-hmm. Like, you hear the thing you don't like, boo, whatever, move past it. But that's the audience's right, I think. And I think that should be, accounted for too.
So going back to when you first started comedy, 14 years old, like what was your mindset in starting so young, man? Like I'm at 14, I don't know, I was messing around playing a bunch of different sports, but I don't know if I would have had the courage to go up and an open mic at age 14.
It was one of those things. I started in school, right? So I started on the very, very first day. Now, a teacher had asked, does anybody have a talent? As I'm sitting there, one of the kids I was talking to all day was like funnier than I was in conversation, and we had really similar voices, right? So like first day of school, I was like, man, I ain't gonna get laid. This motherfucker talk just like me, and he's funnier than I am in conversation.
Yeah, but you were probably better looking, dude.
I hope so, but it's like, with all that said, in that moment, like we talk, the same girl's like right there. You know what I'm saying? It's lunchtime. We talking, and like everything I'm saying is like doing. It's like every other thing is hitting. Everything he's saying, she having the best time. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna fade to black in this motherfucker. This gonna suck, right? So now we get to advisory. Ms. Richardson, shout out. She You in
8th grade or 9th grade at this time?
I'm 9th grade. Mm-hmm. And Ms. Richardson goes, does anybody have a talent they want to share in front of the class? So as this girl was singing a song, something in my head was like, go tell jokes, right? I raised my hand, Ms. Richardson let me go up, and I tried it. She let me talk for 8 minutes, and it worked. From the first thing I did was about school safety officers, right? And it got a laugh. I love that feeling. I've been doing that, like some stuff similar to that in school since I was really little, and like in general in life, even earlier than that. If you ever met Mom, she'd tell you when the time I was like 2-3 years old, I'd take my walker, sit in my granddad's room, and just recant my day to him the way that I heard my day. You know what I'm saying? He said the edge of the bed and laugh. I would do that whenever we went downtown. 2-3. You know what I mean? When I was in elementary school, they let me share a story once, and it was about Jackie Chan Adventures. I'll never forget that. And it made everybody laugh. I liked that. So I kept writing stories like that, right? And they started to ask for me to share during, the time to read and all that. And that's 5th grade. Then junior high school, again, being like, I was never the class clown or anything like that. Yeah. But funny if you talk to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, decently cool, not coolest kid in school, not the worst off, you know what I'm saying?
But did some of the teachers take you as the class clown though?
Never. I was always a good kid in school, you know what I mean? I didn't talk too much. I'm a business, you know what I mean?
So when it was like time to be funny, like that was your time.
Yeah, but like I was in a nice middle ground, you know what I'm saying? Because I was a good kid. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Teachers asked my mom, like, does he talk? You know what I'm saying? And she'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Can't shut him up.
Yeah.
So, it all depended on where you got me. Sure. But like school was pretty good for all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I got to explore. And then, again, I started and it worked. It might have, who knows? And maybe it would have worked different if it didn't. But when I started, it worked. And I loved that feeling. I didn't know anything about the business. I didn't know anything about none of the shenanigans, none of that. I knew that I loved that thing, right? And one thing I'll try to tell comics when I meet them now is like, and I really believe this, when you start, you have all the audacity you need and none of the skill, right? And then as you obtain skill, a lot of people lose their audacity, right? Because they, see things different.
Totally.
I've stayed as close to the brightness that kid started with. I've stayed very close to that. You know what I'm saying? Because that means a lot too.
You mean like the confidence too?
Not even just that, but like the confidence comes from you can't lie to me. You know what I'm saying? I started in front of 8 people, right? On a whim from, if you believe in that shit, from a whim of a thought. You know what I'm saying? Made a decision and it's worked out. Mm-hmm. All I ever did was work hard. When I would leave school, and I was getting up 3 times a week at school before I even went to my first open mic.
What was that, in like music class?
No, that was advisory. So
advisory, they let you come up like that?
Yeah, so advisory was the last period of the day. And the way it would work is you would get either advisory or gym. So 5 days in a week, you would get advisory, sometimes 3 days a week, and get gym 2 days. Or when the marking period flipped, you got a 3-day advisory, maybe 2-day gym, like, go back and forth throughout the year, right? And then me and Rodney would do a once a month show during lunch where everybody from our grade would come downstairs after they grab their shit, room 247, and we'd split the show. I'd do it was like 15 and 15. So I'd do 15 minutes, he'd do 15 minutes of the shit that we prepared. And I would have passed out comment cards and all that stuff back then, just before ever coming into a comedy club. Just so I wanted to know what people thought and all that shit. So that was September through April. Then April, a little after Easter, Miss Richardson had mentioned to me that she had mentioned open mics. I didn't know what that was. I thought all the comics went to college and all that stuff to do this. And she was like, no. She said, you can go there and they might, see you and blah, blah, blah. So I didn't have I didn't have a laptop and nothing like that in the house. So I went to the Children's Aid Society around the corner from me. And I went there, looked up open mics in the city. And it came back, the Bad Slava list. I don't know if they still got that for the kids, but the list came. And I saw that, 42nd and all that stuff was still traveling at that time. So I saw they had one in 42nd Street, the High Comedy Club on Tuesday. And then they had Stand Up New York on Friday. So I was about to turn 15. And I said, all right, fuck it. I'll go down here and I'll do this. And if I do it and do it well, then I've won. I've done comedy. Right. So
any nerves at this particular point going from the classroom to go to a real open mic?
It's nerves. Yeah. But it's like, again, I do this. Like I really do this. You know what I'm saying? And even back then, of course I was nervous. I get nervous almost every show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's one of those things where that nervousness isn't a deterrent. It's I'm also excited. I'm also like every emotion that you could feel, I'm feeling that, right? And to me, I thought again at the time, I was like, okay, if I do this, then I could retire, right? Whatever the fuck that means. And I had the stage name already and all that. So I go, I sign up, and I remember I saw an open mic list that said $5 for five. It said $5 for 5 minutes, right? And in my mind, I'm a baby at that point. I'm like, okay, that's $1 a minute, cumulative property. If I take $10, that'd be 10 minutes, right? Which was about the time I was doing in school. So I go down there. I'm dressed in the same outfit I wore for Easter, and I meet Francisco. Shout out to him, fat man. But I say that with love though. When I first met him, I tried to give him the $10 for 10 minutes. The motherfucker looked at me and said, "What? $10 for 10 minutes? No, it's $5. You get 5 minutes. You go in, you sign the book, blah blah blah." Right? And I said, I ain't never been one of those people where you could just talk to me any kind of way, right? Even from that young, I've just never been that. So I remember I said something, and he said back something along the lines of, "How old are you?" I said, I'm about to be 15. He said, "About to be 15? Well, if you want to get to 16, something else, right?" Right. I will never forget that. And I go on. I think I was like number 20. I was between 21 and like 25. I think I was 22.
Damn, that's a big mic.
Yeah. So I think I'm like 22, and give me a little $5. I go in there, and I'm having a blast. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hear people not laughing, and I'm having a great time. But I'm like, well, I guess it's not going well. All right. I'm number 22. Can't wait. Right. So now I go on, and I'm doing the jokes, and they're not going over. Right. But I'm fine with that, because it's like, all right, I know I got a closer. Right. So we go, and the closer time was about my cousin taking a dump in the bathroom and not flushing. And I do the closer, and it gets a ha from like way in the back, right? And that was it. And I was like, all right, ain't gonna be that bad again. And that turned into what was 3 shows a week with 1 show during lunch, turned into those 3 shows plus after school, maybe 2 to 3 open mics, then go to the hood rooms for 2 or 3 shows, and then you multiply that by some days, multiply that by some months. Those turn into regular shows, those turn into paid shows, those turn into,
on and so forth. So were you focused fully on comedy at that point? Were you playing any school sports, or it was just full comedy?
I've been full time since the time I started, and that's no bullshit. I grew up in comedy clubs.
Was there a comic that you looked up to at that particular time when you were, young in high school?
I mean, so many in a way. Like,
or maybe that's something you saw live, something like that.
Oh, something that I saw live.
Yeah, sure.
There were a lot of folks that were really dope. You know what I'm saying? Like the vets. I remember Donnell Rollins was somebody I watched a lot. You know what I'm saying? He was also somebody that helped out a lot when I was starting. Gave me a lot of stage time. Let me see. I always loved R&B. You know what I'm saying? Very, very, very energetic, and knew how to direct energy really well. You know what I'm saying? I liked people that mastered rooms that they were in, right? And I'm talking about, I'm used to hearing the walls jumping, people laughing so hard, right? And it created a standard for what I think killing looks like, what I think it sounds like, all that stuff. And like even being able to come up around the comics that came up around, it was I'm from Harlem, so like I would see like I think she's going by Takara. I think she's going by Takara Williams now. But I remember Takara, you know what I'm saying, doing Hudson River Cafe with her outside the train and all that shit, right? I remember doing like spots like that with folks like Derek Gaines, so on and so forth. And it's like, again, to know what those things started as, and like to see those styles build, to see them evolve, to see them all grow up and be a part of like that class of comics in general, it's great.
Was there a spot where you were like, oh shit, like I know I've been doing this for a long time, but now this is serious. This particular spot is serious.
Oh no, I've always felt like that. It was never not serious for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, if I was doing, I remember I walked into Stand Up New York, and then one thing, nobody ever spared me their words, right? So I remember I asked, I think it was Greg. at Stand Up New York. I said, how long you think before I'll be able to work here? And nigga looked me in my face and said, 7 years.
Jesus.
I shit you not. I was working Stand Up New York within 8 months of that shit. And it's like just stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like being able to do the Just for Laughs festival the way I was able to do it and all that stuff. Like I really believe there's certain things that if you do them differently, they'll be like on point, right? So at the time I was unrepped, and I ended up on a rep showcase because they believed the person that was telling them they needed to see me was my manager, right? And I do the showcase and had one of those sets, right? And again, it's just crazy to me sometimes. I only auditioned once, right? And years before that, I couldn't get auditioned, didn't know how. I used to feel horrible when the shit would come around the city because it's like, damn, you feel like you one of the hardest working ones here, right? And you go, well, how? And you don't even think about it when you don't know about it. But then people go like, well, how did you not get an audition?
Yeah.
How do you not know about how to get on, right? So to do that and then get it from that, and then to find out that they thought that homie that told them they should see me was my rep. And it's like, so wait, if that wouldn't happen, you might not have saw me.
How old were you at that time?
I was 22. Because we had just won this 2016. So I'm 29 now. And I just turned, this is like April 2016. So I'm like 22, 23. 22 going on 23, I think. Because they auditioned me in April and then told me I got it like a couple months after that. But yeah. So it was that of like, damn, they might not have saw me. You know what I'm saying? If I just had to submit a tape, So like, if there was any place where you could like write a thing, like where you wish something could change, I would wish they would start seeing unrepped people live. For example, there's a documentary that I did called One Mic that shout out to Ricardo Herrera, Dave Kieran, and Craig Adams. When I was 17, they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to do One Mic. And One Mic to this day has gotten the most, like, it's been a part of a lot more people's stories than I ever thought it would be, right? Like, people have moved to New York. Some comics who I came to really enjoy told me that they moved to New York because of One Mic. You know what I'm saying? And I never would have thought that would have been the case.
What is One Mic? Just to
give it a look. It's a documentary about me when I was 17 years old on the scene, going around, what my thoughts were, all that stuff. And again, if you go back and you watch that and you look at the person I am now, you see where the career is now, just all that stuff, you'll know that work for every part of what's over here. You know what I'm saying? Whatever positive that's over here, I worked for all that, And the fact that it's a part of other people's stories and stuff like that, and it started getting me work, and that started getting me so much other work. You know what I'm saying? It's an easy introduction to what that side of me was and is, and what probably at my barest right now, because I'm more of an adult now, but at my barest, what I think about the thing it is that I do. One of the lines I said on that shit that I even think about sometimes is, if you don't want to be a comedian, don't be a comedian. I swear to God, I do this every day if I didn't get paid for it. And I swear to God, I wouldn't stop. And there's certain things that, at least to yourself, when you look at yourself in the mirror, it's like you have to feel like you proved to yourself, right? I feel like I proved those parts to myself, that I am a true comedian, true stand-up comedian in the truest sense. I like to entertain people, and I hope to be a better part of your day. You know what I'm saying? As long as I'm kept in proper context, we all good. Which is, I'm here to make fun, here to be a better part of your day. Keep me in that context. Don't take me too seriously. And from there, let's have a good time. Any and all things that's a part of this art form, if I can do it and do it well, I would like to be a part of it.
Has your family always been supportive of you doing comedy?
I haven't had to ask anybody for money from the time I was 14 years old. Like, again, yes, they've been supportive, but it's like, they've almost had no choice, right? When I started, they didn't know I was doing comedy probably for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom knew I would tell her that, but who knows if she believed me or how much she believed me, right?
Or, yeah, what it kind of
looked
like.
The first time they saw a show was at Creole Lounge, 119th Street in Lexington Avenue. And, no, I'm lying, 3rd Avenue, I'm sorry. And they saw me rock. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like I wasn't doing this every day. I'm doing this every day, on top of school, on top of life. every day. And I'm out late. You know what I'm saying? I leave early. So there was no doubt about what I was doing. You know what I mean? Like when I told my parents, I was like, I'm not going to college. My pops called me and said, yo, if you're going to do it, do it. And I do it. I stick to that.
Did you get any words of wisdom from the older guys where you were like, all right, cool. I was maybe a little bit down now, but all right, let's keep it moving.
In what sense?
Like, I know how you said you never give up and stuff, but I feel like everybody kind of gets to a time where they're like, shit, man, I'm down in the dumps right now. But then somebody gave you some words, or maybe you thought about a particular person's words, like Donnell Rawlings, or somebody who kind of just gave you that extra push, like, okay, yes, obviously I'm doing what I do.
It's funny. Like I got that stuff from those folks, definitely. And I got that stuff, but I feel that stuff more from people, right?
I mean, like from the audience?
Yeah. Of the audience that I've been able to build throughout this time, right? And again, I know what mine started out like. You know what I'm saying? I know when I first did that joint, I was in front of 8 people in a classroom, right? I know the first time I headlined in the city at Gizzy's Lounge, I know how many people came out, right? And I know how much I appreciated that. I know how many people came out when I first started touring. You know what I'm saying? Those early shows. I know it was like to go into those little rooms and the people would be like, man, you shouldn't be in this room. You need to be somewhere else. Like, all those things.
In a good way?
Yeah.
Right.
All those things tell me what I need to know, right? And going through whatever you go through as far as like, because I don't know, like maybe acknowledgement and stuff like that, the things that would get you down, I'm looking at the things you can't lie to. You know what I'm saying? I started with nothing and I'm everywhere I want to be. You know what I mean? And like, I'm a professional comic. The only thing I've ever wanted to be. So I've been down, but when I'm down, there's not a lot of people to talk to. You get what I'm saying?
You feel like you have nothing to lose though?
No, there's always everything to lose from life and everything else. Life, health, all that shit. Like I take none of this for granted. You know what I'm saying? Every day I get to be a part of the thing I love to do. In fact, I'm doing something that I love doing. That's not lost on me. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people can't do that. For better or worse, and that's why I was so against the word grinding earlier. For better or worse, I'm living my dream. You can't lie to me. You can't tell me I'm not funny. Bullshit. I'll stand on any stage where anybody you put me on stage with, and I'll tell you, I'm going to do my thing. It's not about being better or worse. No, I'm going to do my thing. And I'm going to do it for that audience that paid the ticket to see it.
What would you say to somebody who wants to start stand-up comedy? Maybe
Understand that it's
an
art form, fam. Understand that it's something that should be respected. Understand that there's certain traditions that should be kept, while certain what's the word I'm looking for? While traditions should be kept, abuses should be lost. You know what I'm saying?
How do you mean?
What? So traditions should be kept. Of like, you see a lot of times right now, there's not a lot of camaraderie between like the levels in comedy right now, right? Because there's so many ways to do things, and because there's not a lot of openness for the younger comedians to get inside like the comedy club system and all that stuff in some places. They all have to start like their own sub scenes, right? In those sub scenes, sometimes you lose tradition, and sometimes because it's, we in the era of people producing a lot of shows now. I come from a time where that was something that didn't happen a lot, right? Comedians had shows, but it was to be booked on the show where your only service to the show was you could provide to the audience. Like, you were good on the show. So whereas now spot trading and things like that, it's all a part of the social economy, right? And it makes sense. It has to. But I wish that, you wish they were a little tougher. You wish folks would take criticism a little more. You know what I'm saying? When I say take it more, I mean take it better. You know what I'm saying? Or even get it. I doubt they even get it. You know what I'm saying? People might not take the time out to come over and say, hey, maybe you should try this, or maybe you shouldn't try that. Maybe you should slow down a little bit. Maybe you should not yell directly into the microphone. When you hosting, maybe do this, maybe not do that. There's some structural things that would help a lot if everybody got to mix a little more. There's a bit of a, there's certain things you pay attention to. I wish the scene wasn't as, seemingly prejudiced in its bookings. You know what I'm saying? But those are the things I would like to see change. So I think that comes from people that being able to be around each other, having that camaraderie, and, doing the thing.
Would you say that you have a circle that you've grown? I know initially you talked about, Netflix is a joke and growing up with those comics. Would you say that there are a few guys or girls that you've been with like the entire time? That you've seen their career progress?
There's so many. There's so many that I don't want to name any out of fear that I'll forget somebody. But like, there's so many folks that we all grew up together from the time where it was like, motherfuckers didn't have children. Now they have children. There was a time when I was shorter than everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
Chris DiStefano was taller than me at one point.
Well, you're like 6'3".
Yeah, now.
Yeah, how big was your growth spurt?
I was a 6'3" at 14. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I think I used to struggle with this. It was like I look the same for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Adding a little definition,
fade, dude.
Adding a little definition to the face, but we look the same. You know what I mean? So like, even for some people to acknowledge it's like, yo, I'm not who you met. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like I have a kind of a dogged, thing for that. Like, you ain't gonna play with me. So yeah.
Neko, thank you for the freaking words, man. Seriously. Like I just feel like you coming on the podcast and just getting even deeper. And if you guys didn't watch Neko's special, I mean, you'll get a chance to see his new set, Netflix is a Joke. And also, when's the next time you're going to be at a comedy show? This comes out next week, a week from today.
Fam, whenever you guys see this, find me online, whether that's my website, which should hopefully be new and up by the time you see this, and that'll be in my Instagram bio. But
love that.
Find that and find me. I'm on Instagram at NekoWhite93. That is at NEKOWHITE93 on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. Find me on TikTok, Neko White. And on June 13th, you will be able to see me and
in the TV
others on Netflix's Pete Davidson Presents The Best Friends.
Seriously, I do not finish most hour specials, guys. I finished this guy's special. Check it out, all right?
That means a lot.
Neko White, 93.
Much,
Neko, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Ted, brother,
and we'll see you at the Ted Jones Comedy Show shortly. Hopefully July or definitely in August. Okay, guys? Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace.